Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
Relax. It's all in bad taste. Are you ready to watch 13 Ghosts with us, though? This is an exciting time.
I don't know if I am. If it's anything like Event Horizon,
like
it's going to drive me insane.
It's the same movie. Now, I'll introduce you as well, so don't stress about it. I've got my notes. My notes ready.
And I have IMDb.
That is a really impressive... Is that a tablet? What is that?
It's a music stand. Yeah.
I thought you had some sort of like huge long iPad or something.
Oh no, I'm in communication with the ghost of Steve Jobs. He's the 13th ghost.
He is the 13th
Steve
ghost.
Jobs is always going to be the 13th ghost.
Yeah, boo. That's what he says. As he goes.
I boo.
He just walks around booing Tim Cook.
Fantastic. I think we're going to struggle doing this because I don't know if any of you guys have seen Ghosts 1 to 12 yet, but I think starting at 13 Ghosts is probably it.
Nah.
No,
I'm not even
gonna
gonna laugh.
I got a slight
I genuinely looked at you as if that was true.
Thank you, Tom. This is why I've invited you on this episode, because you're only here to laugh at my jokes. That's the only reason, just to laugh at my jokes. Don't speak, just laugh.
I knew it was coming. I was prepping for a pity laugh, and it just wouldn't come out.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bad Taste Buds, the podcast where we talk trash about your favorite, best, worst films, and sometimes we even reevaluate unfairly maligned horror films from the early noughties, which is exactly what
that was a lot of big words
today. Was too many words for you? Is that too?
I know them all independently.
Okay. I'm gonna be your
The noises, they made sense to me.
I was going to hang myself by the end of this. I'll be the 14th ghost.
Oh. Fantastic.
Hey.
Sure, there's other people that guide like people up like the Himalayas and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, I've said the sentence, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, go for it and I'll judge afterwards.
Okay, I'm going to be your Sherpa into all things spectral today. I'm your host, as always, Liam, and joining me, we have the whole crew. We've got Jack on the mic.
Ooh.
And we've got Hannah joining him as well, his better half. We've got Ryan as well.
Ooh.
And oh, wait, do you guys hear that? I hear a noise coming from the other side.
We're being visited about you for 1 second in the past. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, we have a special guest today. Everyone get the spirit. What's the spirit board? The spirit.
You
level?
learned this yesterday, you dickhead. You said I'll never forget it again because I now know what it is.
I learned the other day. I don't know if you guys. Sorry, I will introduce the guest first. We've got Tom from the Warm Tin Film Club, who is graciously graced us with his presence today. Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
Oh, this is why we need a soundboard for the claps.
I'm doing good.
Hey.
This feels good. Yeah, hey. Woo. I'll clap for myself. That feels good. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here. Excited to guest on the Bad Taste Buzz. Does that make me a Bad Taste Buzz?
You are officially,
or am I just Bad Taste adjacent?
You are officially inducted into the honorary Hall of Bad Taste Buds.
I was trying to think what adjacent would be. I'm guessing it would just be a gag reflex. You're a gag reflex, Tom. That's what you are.
Tom's just a gag.
I'm a gag reflex.
The human equivalent of a gag reflex. Congratulations.
Feels good. I'm going to put that on my CV from now on.
No, but yeah, obviously I was on the Warm Tins a few weeks ago. You made me suffer through Event Horizon for the second time.
It sounds like you're going to make me suffer through Event Horizon as well, but just slightly different.
Event Horizon, but not in space. So less cool.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Well, I don't want to watch it anymore now.
It's a pleasure to have you here, Tom. We're really looking forward to doing this. This is our second official Bad Taste Buds guest star. So hopefully we'll get to 13.
Rest in peace, Greg.
Oh,
what happens to the guests afterwards? Greg's conspicuously gone.
We had you in the collection.
Am I in terrible danger right now?
A collection of Bad Taste Buds ghosts. We
in a big jar.
We're also doing a collection for Greg's friends and family if anyone wants to contribute.
I mean, I'm constantly singing your praises here. You and the rest of the boys at Warm Tins. I pretty much lost my mind listening to your Soviet Hobbit episode, which, Jack, I know you're a massive Lord of the Rings fan if you haven't seen the Soviet version. I've not seen it yet, but the episode was fucking hysterical.
I'll have to check it out.
Go. Yeah, there's the Soviet Hobbit. They also did a Lord of the Rings version, and as far as I'm aware, they're both musicals.
Oh wait, is this the Russian cartoon one?
No, it's not cartoon.
It's live action.
Yeah.
It's so much worse. It's basically like a school play or a pantomime or something, but they've like filmed it and put it on TV. It's fucking brilliant. Go check it out.
Heard of
Mr.
this, yeah.
Bilbo Baggins.
No,
It's all on YouTube.
I feel like I've seen a YouTube video of this now you mentioned.
Did you watch it
actually,
without
and it was
subtitles as
painful.
well? Like you watched it just no what was actually happening?
So Matt watched it with subtitles, but I'm a fucking idiot, so I watched the whole thing without it. And when we started, he was like, "What did you think? Like, what was this all about?" And I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't understand what was going on." He's like, "You fucking idiot! Just Google with subtitles next."
Wow.
Love to see the Vladimir Putin cut where it's just from the perspective of Sauron.
It's just Putin going, "His ring is not problem. It's very good."
If you couldn't tell, today we are covering 13 Ghosts, or should I say 1-3 in Ghosts, if you look at the way the title is laid out.
13
It was like that period of time where they started putting numbers like in the title for no fucking reason. Like
Slevin.
lucky number
Slevin.
11. What, Too Fast, Too Furious was one? Too Fast.
5-0 Destination.
At least that makes sense.
Yeah, no, Slevin.
Slevin.
They're still doing it now, of course, with The Fate of the Furious,
Oh,
which is possibly the most objectionable title I've ever heard in my life.
For 8, is that how they're doing it? Like, yeah.
For 8 of the Furious.
Oh, sad.
Well, I was really upset because they were meant to call Final Destination 5-0 Destination, but they never actually, because it was the stupidest fucking thing they've ever heard in their lives. Directed by Steve Beck in 2001. This was his debut film, actually, and he only ever went on to make one more film after this, so the guy didn't really have a very story. He was a big visual effects artist back in the 90s. I think he worked on Indiana Jones and he basically worked with Cameron and Spielberg, and he kind of got his big break doing the remake. This is a remake of a 1960s film of the same name by William Castle, who was kind of made famous for House on Haunted Hill, which is a Vincent Price classic, one of my favourite horror films of all time.
My first horror film ever when I was a wee bairn.
When you were a wee
My
bairn.
parents put it on, and my stepdad and my uncle just let me sit in the room and watch it with them, and I was traumatised for quite a while.
Well, Ushamura parenting, that's village parenting for you.
Pretty standard around here.
But if anyone who doesn't know, and how could you not by this point, horror films are kind of my bread and butter. I was born and raised on them, and this was one of, again, like you're saying, Ryan, this is one of my very first experiences with horror. Basically a step away from being an honorary inductee into the Sawyer family at this point. And 13 Ghosts, it is that kind of, it's a perfect like kind of entryway, like a gateway into kind of more extreme horror for kids, because it is violent, it is bloody, but there's nothing really necessarily scary about it. I mean, Hannah, you watched his second film, his sophomore film, Ghost Ship, this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was good. It had its good elements. The first scene was the highlight, and I think that's
That's a big problem. It sets the tone for these great
I was
kills.
expecting more sort of actually what the fuck just happened on my screen, like 30 people just got chopped in half, the fuck, and then it just never really lived up to that. But I enjoyed that scene, so you know.
Have you seen anything by this guy before, Tom, or is this kind of the first for you? Ghost Ship?
I actually have no idea who this guy is. I know nothing about 13 Ghosts, except
How I
that
usually
it's
feel.
possibly like Event Horizon.
I'm glad I'm not the only one in that camp. Like,
Yeah, you and Jack can chill together until we watch it. But as far as like horror goes, what's our kind of 13 Ghosts? I remember my kind of seminal horror, the ones I grew up on, was a lot of this early noughties, late 90s horror shit like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, which is one of the stupidest. I just recently drunkenly bought the Urban Legend trilogy box set.
And I won't let them watch it.
Not
Someone had to, I suppose.
But Urban Legend, again, it's like this, like it fits really nicely into this category of really stupid teen 90s lame horror. Like, I know Urban Legend stars Jared Leto, and it's really upset me because it's one film where I really wanted to see Jared Leto get just obliterated, and he doesn't even die in the fucking movie.
No.
I'm not gonna lie, there is a supercut on
Always a
YouTube
shame.
of every time Jared Leto dies or gets mutilated in a movie. And I'm not ashamed to say that I've watched it multiple fucking times.
Is that how you get off to sleep?
Yeah.
You just like
It's
pop
like-
it
it's
onto
like-
like unwind.
It's like white noise. It's like, yeah, my whale noise is just Jared Leto screaming.
I was never a big horror kid. I'm quite ambivalent with horror films. I
You're
like
still
them.
not a big horror kid.
I like them as a general concept and things, but I think most of them are underwhelming when I see them.
This is the guy who didn't like John Carpenter's Halloween.
I fell asleep in the cinema, man.
We started.
I know.
The music was good.
I don't know what he's doing on this cast.
Tom just
I'm livid.
I thought the music was pretty good, but I
So good
Other than
that you
that.
slept for a solid 40 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, we went to see it.
shame.
We went to see a re-release of John Carpenter's Halloween in the cinema, in the biggest IMAX screen you've ever seen. And this guy's snoring with 10 minutes in.
Incredible.
slight hyperbole there. Like.
The dulcet tones of those synths are enough to just,
Yeah.
lull you off to sleep.
I think I made it about an hour in before I dozed off. I don't have a defense for that.
It's a tight 90, that's most of the film.
Yeah.
But
Don't really need to see the end.
Like, I think my favorite horror film is probably still The Cabin in the Woods that I've seen.
What, the remake or the sorry, not the remake? That's Evil Dead.
That's a fucking amazing film.
Cabin in the Woods is brilliant. It's like perfect blend of horror comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the meta-ness of it. It's like, you know, just puts those real boring, overused tropes and kind of flips them on their head a bit. Most horror films I've seen, I've been a bit let down by it. It's either just like torture porn, like Saw, or like as soon as you see the actual monster, it loses all its kind of scariness because it's not actually that scary. I remember, what film was it that we went to go see? Oh, that was the worst one ever. Orphan. Do you remember that one?
Orphan sucks balls.
Orphan. Turns out she's just a fucking angry midget.
But I mean, The Orphanage is a fantastic movie.
We've got, right, this is the thing.
That's what I thought you were talking about when you said Orphan. I was like, that's the Spanish one, right? Is it Orphanage? Or did I imagine that?
No, it's a pretty good Spanish film. I think Guillermo del Toro was the producer on that one. We're kind of going through, I think we're going through a renaissance at the minute. I think, especially when you credit like directors like Ari Aster, A24, like the A24 guys. Yeah, they're absolutely Midsommar, Hereditary.
Ari Aster needs to chill out because, like, I'm in a similar boat that I think to Jack on this. Like, I wasn't ever a big like horror kid growing up. I was too scared. I was too much of a pussy to even watch them. And then when I finally got like enough of
backbone,
enough
spine,
enough backbone, enough spine to actually watch them when I was older, I was like, oh, these aren't even remotely frightening in the slightest sense. And then I go and watch fucking Hereditary on a date with my girlfriend at the time. We were like, oh, let's go watch a fun horror film.
That ended well.
Most bleak, fucking grim experience.
I want to make a joke about getting heads at the end of the film because
bad taste, Liam.
What head?
Hey, bad taste.
That's what we're all about here.
I mean, the early 90s, again, like a little bit of a horror history major over here. The early 90s is credited by a lot of people as being kind of like the dark ages of horror, where we were past the highlights of the 70s, the Texas Chainsaws, the Halloweens, the John Carpenters, everything that kind of made the 70s and 80s so exceptional for horror. The 90s kind of just was a uncomfortably stale retread of that. And we had obviously things like Scream and Scream 2 that still hold up today, but you go back and watch something like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it really doesn't hold up whatsoever.
They just sort of made the same film about 400 times. Like there's the teen slasher or like some sort of monster flick, but in the 90s is when they started to be like, we don't actually need a monster. What we need is a guy who looks a bit fucked up, and that's the monster. And that's how you end up with like Jeepers Creepers.
Bother with that, and just do what I did last summer is and just put him in a rain mac and then be like done with it. Right, he's done. There you go. Yeah. What we see kind of at the end of the 90s anyway is the start of kind of the period of horror where remake culture was massive. Obviously 13 Ghosts, The House on Haunted Hill, both remakes of William Castle films, came out with like 1 year of each other respectively, and then you get to 2003 where we really see the influx of remakes with Michael Bay's produced Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you see then the Friday the 13th remake comes in, and 13 Ghosts is, I think, a film that you should remake. Me and Ryan, we're going to get into this a little bit further on the point 5, but me and Ryan watched the William Castle original, the 1960s one, and it's kind of a bit of a bore for most of the runtime.
I've been confused, like, since watching that movie, thinking that this 13 Ghosts can't be a best worst because it's so much better than the original movie, but it's 16% on Tomatoes. And in my head, when I watched this last, it wasn't a 16% movie. I remember having fun.
The remake of 13 Ghosts is unequivocally more fun than the William Castle original. It might not be a better film in its production, its acting, in whatever, but it is immeasurably fun. And I think that's hopefully what you guys are going to take away from this, because me and Ryan are the only two people here who've seen the 2001 13 Ghosts.
I think you're the only people that have seen the original, aren't you?
We are the two people who've seen the original 13 Ghosts.
It has the Wicked Witch of the West as a cast member.
It does. The original.
What?
Don't you say the word twist to me. Don't you fucking say the word twist to me. I'm still over the Chambon shit, okay? I'm still consistently thinking of old, okay?
Yo, what if we had a movie and there were 13 ghosts in it? What are you going to call it at night? Oh, I know. Don't you worry.
For people who are a bit unaware of the context here, me and Tom have this ongoing thing where we're kind of obsessed with the trailer for the M. Night Shyamalan film Old, and we've kind of come to
just a peek into just an incredibly obscure in-joke.
Well, this is the thing, like, we realize he names all of his films just exactly what they are. Like, oh, this one is this one's about a guy made of glass. What we're going to call it? I don't know, fucking glass. I don't fucking know.
I've got an idea for an island. It makes people old. I will call the movie Old.
No, but getting back to remake culture and getting back to this idea of 13 Ghosts being a remake of a film that kind of needed a remake, I was pretty pissed when I originally saw the remake for Texas Chainsaw, because that's kind of almost like sacred ground. You don't touch Tobe Hooper, you don't touch the Wes Cravens. Like one of my least favorite films of all time is the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, because there's no need. There's no need to remake a perfect movie. But I've kind of like chilled out a little bit in my old age and started to realize that I'm not that hateful of remakes. Like the original is still there. It's just like a cover song.
I've gone completely the opposite way now. Remakes just make me like incredibly angry. Just like sitting there like, oh, we're making another film that it's Spider-Man for the 15th time. I'm like, okay,
taking time from the original property.
One original film. I say I'd like one original film, and then one gets served up to me in the form of Old, and I'm just like, movie about an old island.
It might be a masterpiece. You don't know.
Fuck your original concepts.
I hope it is.
You were 6 years old this morning.
Haven't seen the film, haven't got a clue.
I hate that. I hate waking up 6 years old and going to bed 16. It's awful.
For me, anyway, I feel like the way people should approach remakes is in the way that someone like Matt Reeves did with the Planet of the Apes trilogy. I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen the recent.
Okay, no, those are really fucking good remakes. Actually.
Kind of what he did.
I'm going to now backtrack on literally everything I've just said. I love those films so fucking much.
Like from beginning to end.
I felt cheated when I went in. I went in with my friend to watch Dawn of the Planet. No, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and we saw the trailer and we were like, "This looks incredibly fucking stupid." I'm so
James
excited.
Franco,
I think
talking to a fucking monkey.
Yeah, there's like a clip in the trailer where they're just like the monkey is like punching a guy with a gun, and I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be the dumbest thing I've seen all year. I watched the movie, I came out and I was like, I'm really pissed off. I think that's the best thing I've seen in like a year.
I cried more than once.
And then they released the trailer for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and you see the monkey shooting a machine gun on horseback, and I'm like, okay, fine. Now we're getting the stupid one, and they come out and it's one of the best films I've ever seen in my fucking life. I'm so mad.
Honestly, PSA to anyone who's not seen Matt Reeves' Planet of the Apes remake trilogy. It's one of the best modern trilogies. It's kind of how you do a remake. He took the films in the old franchise, because he took, what was it, like Conquest? I think it was Conquest, Beneath, and Battle were the films in the original franchise. The ones that no one's seen or gives a shit about. And was like, I'll remake the shit ones. Like that. I feel like that's how you should approach a remake. If you're going to do a remake the stuff that didn't go well the first time.
Yeah, it sets the bar low, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. No expectations. Exactly. Zero fucking expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
But this leads us pretty nicely onto 13 Ghosts, because as I say, me and Ryan kind of came to the agreement that, yeah, the original's kind of boring. It's a very kind of maudlin. There's nothing really spectacular about it.
The thing that pissed me off the most about it, that I was so irritated by, is when the ghosts are on, it's kind of that see-through old style where it's just a puppet on a string. But they use literal Halloween decorations that they bought at the store. It was just that plastic skeleton on strings. But you could just dress the fucker up, put someone in a fucking skeleton outfit or something. It was so bad.
It's literally like the spooky, scary skeletons video from YouTube.
Literally. Even the ones that were like costumed and tried to be done better, it was just a costume. There was no one inside of it. It was just a Halloween head.
What was the situation with the glasses?
Oh, yeah, so there's this gimmick. There was this gimmick when the original came out in the 60s that everyone in the audience was given basically like one of those 3D blue and red 3D glasses, and it was like, they were called ghost finders or ghost viewers, I think they were. And one side was like, right, look through the blue lens if you want to see the ghosts, and look through the red lens if you don't want to see the ghosts. And did it make the ghosts appear on the cinema screen?
Yeah,
right? You looked into it, didn't you?
It filtered them out because the ghosts are a different colour to what the people are in scale. So when you look through the red lens, it highlights the ghosts, but you can only see them when they're on screen and when the actors in the movie are wearing the glasses, so it syncs up.
So that sounds pretty cutting edge for the 60s.
Oh,
that sounds pretty
right.
Like, you know,
I mean, compared to a skeleton on strings, definitely cutting edge.
Yeah, but have you ever watched?
It's been the first sort of cinema audience interaction type film then.
Potentially.
I'm not that well versed, but
I do love a bit of meta stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can buy the glasses on eBay. I think you can get them for like $13, but it was like American shipping, so it'd be like 40 quid by the time they would get here. And I'm like, I'm an idiot, and I buy stupid shit on a whim, but I'm not that stupid.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were going to tell me you bought them. I was going to be sick.
I am that stupid, and now I'm looking to buy.
I'm going to send you the link
as we speak. Oh wow!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, have you found them?
Yeah, well, I found a key as well. Key to Cyrus Criticos's glass house. Don't know what any of this
So Cyrus
means,
is the guy who collects
but
the
you can buy
ghosts. So yeah, Cyrus collected all the 13 ghosts. Well, there's actually 12 ghosts.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Gotta catch them.
I was just going to say, is this some sort of like marketing bit? Are they going to be like, yeah, 13 ghost trading cards. Get the 13 ghost Game Boy Color game and trade the ghosts with your friends.
13 Ghosts Go.
So yeah, this came out. This movie came out. Well, the remake, sorry, came out a month after 9/11. So let's take that context. And there's so it's already in this kind of zone where no one really probably wanted to go to the cinema much. Kind of panic in America. It didn't do horribly at the box office. I think on a budget of about 42 million, it made back 60 worldwide, which isn't great. You factor in like advertising.
Didn't it weirdly get almost an identical box office finance to House on the Haunted Hill?
Well, the remake of it, yeah. Both of them. Again, we're kind of in this period of horror where people were very much sick of horror. It was these kind of tired retreads, these remake culture, and people were kind of done with it. But again, the reviews do speak for themselves for this. I personally, this is going to be a show goes moment where I'm going to defend the fuck out of this and say it's not a good movie. It's not well made. It's not well acted, but it's one of the...
Well, that doesn't sound like defending, Liam. That sounds like a load of insults.
But... It is one of the most entertaining 90 minutes you're going to sit through, if only because of how batshit insane the whole thing is.
Cool.
It's only 90 minutes.
It's a solid 90.
What a relief.
Again, the critics tore this thing to shreds. It's currently sitting on 16%. I'll read a few. So Roger Ebert said the experience of watching this film is literally painful. Like, it hurts the eyes and ears.
I think he's...
Yeah, but he's dead.
He's one of the ghosts. He's been haunted.
He would say that. He's just jealous.
A lot of people say it's a progressively tedious and downright interminable. Impressive set design can't quite justify an otherwise choppy, sloppy penned rehash.
Holy shit, it is Event
Horizon Part 2, baby.
Sloppy choppy's a good way to describe something. Quite like that. I remember having fun.
Hey, let's get some of that sloppy choppy.
It sounds like something you'd order from like the worst possible Chinese place. Like, you get food poisoning the moment you touch your lip.
It's some sort of Taco Bell special meal.
This is the weird thing about it. It has garnered quite a good cult following from this. Most people I talk to who've seen 13 Ghosts, especially people who have that nostalgia for it, really, really enjoy it and think it's kind of one of the seminal horror films growing up.
Pre-warning, it is like Ghost Ship in that there's not that much. There's a really cool fucking death, and there's not much else.
Well, this is the thing, like, Tom, obviously, we and you watched Event Horizon together.
Good.
You will get some gore. You will get some, like, it's not one of those blue balls moments.
Yeah, that was my main complaint for Event Horizon. Go listen to the episode if you haven't already. There's
shameless plug
in there. But my main complaint from it was just they're, like, constantly leading us up to, like, what looks like it's going to be an incredible space death and then just cuts away. It's just like, oh, well, cool.
Yeah.
There's literally, I'm not going to go into the spike room. It's upset me thinking about it.
But I'm curious to wonder how much of this movie underperforming was due to the fact that it was released a month after 9/11 and whether that was a factor. There is actually a scene, I will tell you before we watch it, the end scene, it's not really a spoiler. There's a scene where all the ghosts are kind of walking away from a house. They had to film that on 9/11. They filmed it on the morning of 9/11.
Oh my God.
And they obviously got the news, and it was, I wonder kind of watching it now whether or not we can see kind of the reaction. They were literally filming it as the towers were hit, so it's kind of got its weird little history.
Well, hopefully it wasn't filmed in New York.
I mean, I think you'd know. I think
that would be pretty.
Yeah, pretty stressful situation.
It's pretty fucked up.
So I don't know about you guys, but if you guys are ready, we usually, obviously, Tom, you've listened to the episodes before. We're going to do a little bit of trailer talk first. Should we have a watch of the trailer, and we'll probably keep the recording going, and we'll get back to you in about 2 minutes once we've seen the trailer, guys.
Yes, please. I'll give me something to talk about because I have nothing.
Jack's just like, give me something, guys. Cool. Let's put the trailer on, and let's get back in a minute.
I represent the estate of your Uncle Cyrus.
We have an Uncle Cyrus?
Cyrus recorded this message 6 weeks ago. He asked it to be played for you in the event of his death.
Arthur, I've instructed my lawyer to deliver my last will and testament.
A key?
A key to what? A key to your new house. This house is the fruit of my life's work.
Oh my God.
It is a one-of-a-kind home.
It's marvelous, isn't it?
Wow!
Arthur, we've got some papers to sign in the library. After that, I would love to take you and the family around the tour of the house.
This place is awesome!
All right, now I know I'm dreaming.
Well, your uncle was quite a collector of many things.
Oh yeah.
I hope Tom's laughing at the worst thing than one ghost is 13 ghosts moment. Or having a good old laugh. Line. The only thing worse than being trapped in a house with one ghost is being trapped in a house with 13. Like, not 14. Like, I think 14 would be worse. Like, if the only thing worse is 13.
Nah, 2's not worse, 3's not worse, 4's not worse, only 13
like,
is worse.
I wouldn't like to be in a house with 100 ghosts either. I think that would be really bad. Let alone for some reason being in a house which is also the set of Cube. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Again, like we talked about in the Event Horizon episode, the level of, like, there's so many... We're going to give Tom a moment to come back to reality.
Matthew Lillard was like seconds away from going jinkies at the end of that fucking trailer.
It's like,
oh my god, that's brilliant.
It's like if the Da Vinci Code was a game show, isn't it?
Yeah. Welcome to the Da Vinci Code, starring Matthew Lillard.
I think Jack can't have much more to talk
Crystal
about.
Maze but spooky?
I showed you nothing.
I don't know about you guys, but I was almost wrecked. Like, that is just such an exciting fucking moment. Like, this movie, I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's just me. You guys are just looking at me like I'm fucking nuts here. But this is the coolest fucking movie that's ever been made.
Nothing happened. You didn't see
That was one of the stupidest trailers I've ever seen in my life. The counting up from 1 to 13 is just amazing. It's like, okay, I get where you're going at. We're really committing to the bit on this one, are we?
Like we mentioned on the Event Horizon episode, there's going to be so much crossover with that. But do you kind of not miss this level of absurdity and this level of stupidity in movies?
Not at all.
Fuck you.
I like that it's kept in a little bubble for me to go back and dip in and out of. But if every trailer was like this, I would not be able to get through them to like watch a movie in the cinema.
No, you have an epileptic fit after like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Looking at the trailer, what are we thinking? You kind of.
There's not much to think. The trailer doesn't show you anything but a lot of flash and a few silly lines. When it counted up from 1 to 13, I thought it was at least going to show you ghost number 1, ghost number 2. Nah, random flashes and fuck all. Steel beams.
It's just like visual noise. Like the whole trailer is just like someone screaming at you.
The best way to describe the movie 13 Ghosts is just visual noise. When Roger Ebert say it's kind of one of those, it's an overload of the senses moment where it's very loud, it's very obnoxious, it's very noisy, it's very that like 13-year-old goth kid in his basement writing a baby's first screenplay moment where it's like, I'm going to put in The Prodigy, I'm going to put in like...
Oh, I hope The Prodigy features in this one.
But can we talk a little bit about Matthew Lillard? Because that's kind of one of the biggest exciting takeaways for me. And how
underrated treasure.
How much we miss Matthew Lillard.
He's not in enough.
Why? Where is Matthew Lillard? I want Matthew Lillard.
He was in season 3 of Twin Peaks.
Oh,
it's fucking amazing.
I've not seen it yet.
I don't know if any of you guys are Twin Peaks heads.
No, a middle-aged lady, I'm afraid.
Not at the. I mean, I'm
bunch of casuals. Get out of here.
But obviously, like I grew up with them with Scooby-Doo, the live-action Scooby-Doo films, which again,
Scooby-Doo.
Say what you want about the Scooby-Doo live-action films, the casting was fucking spot on.
Exceptional.
This is like the golden age for Matthew Lillard. Early 2000s. Like he was in Hackers.
Scream.
He was in 13 Ghosts. Scream.
Without,
yeah, of course.
He was in without a paddle, wasn't he, as well? I'm trying to think of crossovers. Yeah. This actually has a uncredited screenplay credit by James Gunn. Guy obviously worked on Scooby-Doo and he probably went on to do Guardians of the Galaxy. So we've seen the early days of James Gunn's career as well forming here.
The man himself.
The Gunn himself.
No.
No one laughed, Hannah.
I think she was laughing at him, not with him. It's okay.
I didn't hear.
It's probably best you didn't.
I want to watch the movie.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch this with you. I'm really excited to show you 3 that you've never seen before. This is going to be an experience, regardless of whether you enjoy it. It's going to be an experience.
Yeah, but you can always enjoy Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, it looks like it falls.
Always.
It looks like it falls fatal of pretty much every single horror movie trope there is out there.
Basically, the house is cool. The house is cool.
From that trailer alone, I'm experiencing full 90s mode. I know it's in the early 2000s, but that is just.
But at least in this, they tried with the ghosts. The last one, the original,
Yeah.
fucking didn't put any ounce of effort in whatsoever.
So. Is that like a homage to the original that they can't see the ghost without a pair of spectacles?
Yeah. And then obviously there's still 13
Amazing.
ghosts and Uncle Cyrus and the family.
That's kind of nice that they've linked it back to the original, even if the original was shite, and this is also shite. But, it's nice that it's,
I say it's nice that it's linked, but it is a remake.
Well, it's
I was
very-
hoping it's linked in some way.
That is one thing like other thing in movie with same name.
It's very heavily linked, while still being different enough for it to be worthwhile being a remake and a different movie.
Sorry, Jack's just giving me death. I'm just getting absolutely fucking rinsed by Jack.
And yet he was
I've just seen the fucking poster. Like, what is going on there with those like great big? The one where it's like a collage of a face being made out of other people's faces, but the face has got like gigantic lips.
Oh,
That is terrifying.
Again, what we'll see,
Oh my
what
God.
I think we'll see, because we already watched the movie, but I think what you'll take away from it, Tom, is a lot of what you took away from Event Horizon. That it's visually really impressive. Like all of the ghosts visually are really impressive.
It's not a bit gratuitous.
The set
From the 2 seconds of Ghost that we saw in the trailer for 13 Ghosts, in between all of the numbers and the titles
and the ear-deafening,
incredible Matthew Lillard faces, they looked really cool. I like the Michelangelo Cage head. Is that Harley Quinn as well? Harley Quinn seems to be in there.
All I can see is the boobs.
Is this the big titty woman?
Oh, I didn't see. I don't know if I. Oh wait, hold on. Yes.
Tom's just searching up.
Shauna Lawyer as the angry princess.
Tom just.
Oh my god, no! I'm looking away. I don't want to spoil the 13 Ghosts for
I'm
myself.
just googling ghost porn right now.
Ooh, ghost movies.
Yeah, let's get on with watching the movie then. If you are listening at home and you do want to pop it on, it is free on Netflix. Woo! I think it literally just came free on Netflix.
Literally the day before. It was literally yesterday.
This. Like Netflix is on our side right now.
Thank you, Netflix.
Let's turn the podcast off, and we will see you in about 90 minutes, guys. Right, boys and girls. Don't know. Is that? Are we all? Are you eating a bag of crisps? So you're not ready.
I've been saying for the last hour that I was hungry and no one did anything about it.
Is that our problem?
Ryan's just shoveling several crisps into his mouth at once.
He's the podcast. This is the podcaster's creed: is thou shalt not eat on mic. How dare you?
Okay, boys and girls, we are back from watching 113 Ian Ghosts, the most epileptic-inducing movie you'll ever see in your fucking life. I am joined by everyone you heard before, so we've got Ryan, Jack, Hannah, and Tom with us. We are all, how are we feeling, guys?
I'm feeling suitably spooky. I'm feeling like I want to start dressing like Matthew Lillard more often.
He's got that pimp energy, hasn't he? He's like the red lined suit.
Yeah, that suit I like cheered when he started taking that ridiculous jumpsuit off and was wearing like a stage magician's outfit underneath it. I was like, this movie is going to be fucking amazing.
Flaming cuff.
And I was right.
I really enjoyed the text you sent me like 10 minutes in.
I just went, of course it's in Latin. Because he comes in and he's like, he goes straight in and starts looking at the glass and he just goes, it's written in Latin. And I literally like sat bolt upright. I was like, of course.
What else?
Don't read it, whatever you do.
Hannah was genuinely scared of this movie.
Yeah, man, she was like jumping, stressed. You don't watch many horror films, do you, Hannah? It's a rare occurrence for you.
Even his fucking name sounds Latin. Cyrus Criticus.
Doesn't it?
I think you'll find it's noted adventurer Cyrus Criticus.
What do you have to do to be noted adventurer?
I loved that. They just pan to the amount of exposition in this movie is just absolutely hysterical. But the best bit is where they pan to noted adventurer Cyrus.
In case you couldn't tell by all the ghosts in his basement, he did some adventuring. Cool. But I think before we get into the movie, if those people who have watched the movie, you'll know this already, but those of you who haven't, we'll do a 30-second synopsis, just really quickly round it up. I'll take it away. When Cyrus Criticus, a very rich collector, noted adventurer, Cyrus Criticus, sorry.
Thank you. He didn't spend 4 years of his life at adventuring school for you just to call him Cyrus.
When he dies, he leaves all of his estate and his collection to his nephew in what is probably the most dramatic last will and testament you'll ever fucking see. I do want to mention that last will and testament on his fucking computer because genius.
Oh my god, yes.
I love the Apple edit, the iMac like editing in it as well.
I have a whole like stream of thoughts about that.
So he leaves his entire house, his fortune, and his malicious collection of ghosts to his family. Once they enter the home, chaos ensues as the walls start to shift, the cell doors open, and the ghosts are released. This is the dumbest fucking movie I've ever seen. I love it so much.
That's why you keep coming back.
That was amazing.
Yeah, we just keep Hannah around for the folio effects.
It was like I was right there in the glass house myself.
Get your fucking ghost goggles.
Wait, hold on. I'll take my glasses. Oh my God, Hannah's not there.
Man, yeah. Where do we start? Like, let's just talk about kind of our first impressions. So, watching, obviously, you three have never seen this before. Me and Ryan, this is my third time through, and every time I watch it, I just get more and more in love with it. But let's go to the newbies.
I think we should just do a biopic of each ghost individually, one by one.
No.
Oh, we could not.
I had to Google. They've got it all written on the Wikipedia because no one knows who these ghosts are meant to be. Apparently, it was all in like the special edition DVD. It had a little booklet and it had a little chapter on each ghost.
I tried to write them down. Let's list off the ghosts. I wrote them down as we went. I think I did, but someone count me down because I think I might have missed some as well. So you've got
1, 2.
Can I see if I can remember them?
Go on, no,
I was trying to remember all of them.
I'll test you.
Okay, you had the naked booby lady.
That's her official name. She's called the princess.
The angry princess.
You had the angry princess.
Naked booby lady.
You had the really big guy who was covered in nails.
Yeah, I
had a bad day at the staple factory.
Name. I just put spiky guy down.
The hammer.
You had the trucker, and he was just big. That was his thing. He was just a big guy.
The juggernaut. Yeah.
There was a treat boy and his mum. There was.
What do you get when you go
And then there was a lady in bondage gear, a child with an axe in his head, and a very sick mum.
And the baseball bat guy.
And the baseball guy.
Well, you're missing 2. I think you're missing 2. You've got one that.
Michelangelo.
No, you're still missing 2.
Michelangelo's Nightmares.
Yeah, Michelangelo's Nightmares. And oh fuck, who was the last one?
You got the torso. Just literally.
Oh, the torso.
Just crawling around.
That really should have been 12 and a half ghosts. Really,
12 and a half ghosts. The new movie title. Yeah. Well, Hannah and Jack. What do we think? We'll start with you two. Hannah, you had a pretty, I think, an interesting reaction to this film.
I enjoyed it far more than I thought I was going to be honest.
It's not deserved of 16%, is it?
No, but this is right. This is the thing I want to kind of clarify. So 16% on Rotten Tomatoes, fully maligned. We were saying it's got an IMDb score of like 5.4 or something, so we have a lot of like kind of a bit of disparaging between the critics and the fans. It has got a massive cult status now. Like, is it deserving of that cult status? Is it something we should revisit? Is it something we should kind of pay attention to, or is it just completely wanky trash that we should ignore?
I think it depends on what you go into this film wanting, what sort of genre you're expecting. Like, if
compare it to Hereditary.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's a completely different kind of like.
Yeah, you cannot compare the two. One just makes you miserable. This one just makes you like, I don't know what happened there. It was like some sort of seizure. It was amazing.
I think the first thing that I saw, I was like, oh, it's going to be one of them, is when the van hit the gate and there was loads of sparks flying. Like, oh,
yes.
Okay, it's going to be a generous.
My first note is exploding truck. And then a truck full of blood? You gotta be shitting me.
I think that whole scene in the junkyard and then cutting immediately to the credits with the exposition dump about the family was so jarring, and it was just so like atonal, wasn't it?
The credit scene was so weird. The fire alarm starts going off as it's panning through the house.
I thought it was a really good scene, but it does not fit in the context of the truck full of blood. And then there's this like quite heartbreaking scene of a man's life falling apart, and then it goes back to being like kind of wacky.
Yeah. I think again, it's one of those films where you can without knowing what decade it was made in, you can already tell based on the aesthetic, based on the soundtrack, based on having Matthew Lillard in it. Yeah, just based on how you pretty much. I do love the kid, like the opening with the kid of the future podcaster who's just obsessed. Oh, he starts a true crime podcast right after this movie's finished, right?
So good. He was the obviously meant to be growing up to be a podcaster, all the way down to the misogyny. Like he's just immediately jumps in and calls his sister a bitch.
Can we talk about the nanny who the family is in extreme debt? Okay,
I would call her a nanny.
The family is in so much debt, and yet they pay for a nanny who apparently does fuck all.
Absolutely baffling.
They're just paying for a squatter, basically, aren't they?
Adopt another child.
Have them take care of each other.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. The most she does is lose the child. That again, that's her like defining characteristic. And what we were saying, I think me and you will probably pick up the Event Horizon. You have an African American actor whose entire purpose for being there is to be stereotypically African American.
Yeah, absolutely bonkers. Well, she was the oh god, I had her name written down, but I don't want. Is Ra Digger?
What a name.
Okay, yeah, that's dangerously close to a slur.
Yeah, so Ra Digger, she is a rapper. And she did the theme song at the end of the movie.
No. But it's Catwoman all over again.
Is that where all her lines were, just at the end credits?
Oh my god, maybe. But yeah, no, there were some scenes in this where, I mean, there's a particular scene in it which I might have been, special snowflake, a bit too sensitive in this. But there was a point at which Matthew Lillard turns to her and goes, "What is it with you people? Why don't you understand?" And I was just like, he's only looking at her in this scene. This whole movie had like a strange racist undercurrent to it that I couldn't quite...
It's got the whole 2000s Marlon Wayans and like literally the line, "I'm not getting paid enough for this shit." It's just like
she was like
so fucking.
She
also very undeserved. She absolutely in no way deserves a pay rise.
Well, she has this like line where she's like, "Oh, I'm surrounded by these crazy ass white people as well," which the very late 90s, very early 2000s stereotypical.
When was it made?
2001. Yeah.
Well, yeah, explains that then.
Yeah.
So 4 years after Event Horizon, and fuck does it show?
Well, again, like we're talking about the similarities. So I think are we the only people here who've seen Event Horizon? Who else has seen Event Horizon in the room?
Did you make me watch it with you?
I've made you watch it.
I fell asleep several times through Event Horizon.
To be fair, you can watch the whole movie with your eyes closed because you don't need them to see it. That's a deep cut for Liam only.
And fans of Warm Tins and fans of
Warm Tins and Event Horizon.
But yeah, we get that. So we get the scene where the lawyer who did anyone catch the lawyer's name? The beneficiary, the guy who
Smuggy McGee.
Smuggy McGee. Yeah, he kind of delivers what is the most like dramatic will and testament you'll ever see in your entire life, with just so unpractical and just so.
I love they must have designed it so that the window cut out and then came back in. Like that was purposeful.
Yes.
Like, do you think he was just sat there beforehand on like Photoshop or Creative or something?
This is really
the thing I can compare it to the most is it. No, it's not Douglas Rennan, but it's his dad, isn't it, in the IT crowd?
The IT crowd.
His eulogy is the closest thing in any other media I've seen to that fucking like bequeathment video.
Now turn off the video.
So good.
All these people are my friends. Anything you can say to me, you can say to them. Now there are some illegal accounts.
Smoke.
It is the ridiculously campy, almost John Waters-esque, like, you must spend a night in a haunted house in order to get to my inheritance. It's brilliant, and it kind of sets the tone, I think, for the rest of the movie right away. You're right, Jack, when you said 10 minutes in what kind of movie you're getting yourself prepared for. And I think from there, it doesn't really let up. The film has this really cool structure where it's kind of almost like this continuous ticking clock, where the second they enter the house and the second they trigger the death machine, basically, this.
Which is just a suitcase.
It was on the pedal.
He picks up a suitcase, which is literally on. It's a set of car pedals. You can see it.
Yeah.
It looks like a set of car pedals. You've got a clutch, a brake.
You've got this ridiculously, like, mad machine house with all these cool, crazy doors, but what lets it up is a car pedal.
Well, you're assuming Cyrus set that up, right? Like, that was Cyrus setting it up.
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah. But again, it's just, you're right, it's Scooby-Doo-esque. And they even have the scene about halfway through where they're like, right, this is taking too long.
Let's split up.
I'm like, right, all right, thanks, Fred.
It's a death machine.
No, but so they arrive at the house. Right, what you said before we went on our break, Tom, you said it's basically the house from the Cube. Like, it's like you live inside of the Cube.
There is a cube.
Like, the least. What did you say, Jack, about them bringing shopping in or something? Like,
I was just saying, like, could you imagine having to bring your Tesco shopping from that house? It's like you're gonna have to wait 45 seconds for the door mechanism to release.
And then you went to the lobby.
Good, ice cream's melting. Ice cream's melting. Come on, hurry up.
Come back an hour when we're back through the phases.
Yeah, but you're right. Like you're right. They put the key in, and the key then like triggers a lever, and the lever triggers a metronome, and the metronome turns the like electricity on. And it's just
the
like
whole house is just a great big Rube Goldberg machine, and it's so good.
Mousetrap.
Yes.
Well, like we've seen a hand. Like what happens when it's like an especially sunny day in this glass fucking house? Is it just like this suffocating? They're like, were there any windows?
Well, we're talking about the walkie-talkie building in London, weren't we? That was melting cars on the street down. It's like that. I'm glad he's got to have his own plot of land because he just fucking melts
the
trees.
second it's over like 18 degrees, everyone just starts like melting inside and hyperventilating and just aspirating.
Make sure you hide all the paper.
I wonder how many forest fires. I wonder how many forest fires this house has started. But yeah, we get to this house. You're right. They lift the briefcase up, and it just starts this. You're right, Rube Goldberg machine trap, and with all the. To be fair, to get to its credit, the house is beautifully designed. Like similar again to Event Horizon, you've got this gorgeous set, and you've got these really cool practical effects with it as well. And then all the whoever was in charge of the set design, kudos to you, because you again. Standout of the film, like you were kind of wasted with the plot and direction.
Was it Steve Beck who did that? Because that was his thing, wasn't it? That his like
right. So yeah, Steve Beck was a massive visual effects artist back in the 90s. Like he worked on some massive. Like so he worked with Cameron,
Jones, right?
Spielberg. So
Hannah did not just know something.
She did.
You very recently looked this up, correct?
Like this morning.
So Steve Beck did visual effects for Red October. Fuck.
The Abyss, I think, was the one as well.
Yeah, The Abyss as well, yeah. And Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. There it is.
Yeah, man. You can clearly, the guy's heart was clearly in practical effects and special effects. So you can see a lot of that influence, I think, in
So
this
I'm going to make Escape Room the movie.
Yeah, pretty much. We were saying how good of a escape room or like a haunted house ride would this be in real life? Just kind of...
I thought it was going to be a setup for a video game at one point, because I was like looking through it and there's like, okay, well, here's all of the rooms and there's certain paths that you can walk on that are ghost proof, and some of the rooms have power-ups in them, like glasses that let you see ghosts.
Like Spy Kids. Well, we have the actor from Spy Kids in as well, don't we? It's Tony Shalhoub, he's in Spy Kids, right?
He's the real criminal mastermind behind the whole thing.
I feel like you would go absolutely insane with about 3-4 days of living in this glass palace. Like, I don't actually think anyone could practically live here.
Just passively pick up Latin as you go.
Yeah.
The walls every day.
But we have some really cool scenes at the very start where the lawyer, probably, I've been really excited to talk about this scene. Probably my favorite death scene in any horror film ever.
Oh my God, a vertical bisection. I was so happy. I like
so good.
Do you reckon famous explorer Cyrus Criticus has a guy who just sharpens his doors for him? Or is he sitting there doing it himself?
But like again, just harkening back to Event Horizon, where was the planning team? What was the safeguarding, the planning commission? It was like, right guys, so my house, I need 13 individual glass prisons in the basement. I need doors that can slice people in two, and this giant hell portal in the middle. Again, like where do you get the construction rights for this? Like in what state in America is this okay to build?
Well, at this point, as we discussed, Event Horizon had come out, so he just walked into like the most insane architects he could find. He'd be like, right, you ever seen Event Horizon? Get me a gravity drive stat. They knew exactly what they were doing.
But yeah, that for me anyway, that lawyer's death scene is a stroke of cinematic genius. It's on par with the director's second film, Ghost Ship, which I know me and Hannah and Ryan, I think you've seen. There's a scene in Ghost Ship where it's like the first death where he just absolutely obliterates a whole passenger ship of like 30 people with a bit of copper wire and just completely...
Copper wire?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Those steel cables that keep the masts tied down.
Oh my God.
And slices through an entire dance floor.
Yeah.
There's a little girl's dancing on the captain's shoes, and he just slides in half, and you just see her walking up at half
She's the last one, because for about a minute after the wire goes through them, it just gives you shots of each of their faces as they're all looking horrified at each other, just waiting for them all to drop.
Hearts just sluicing off. It's incredible.
So again, like this director, Steve Beck, he clearly has an eye for really intricate death scenes. Like he's got got that creativity. And I was saying it's kind of a shame he stopped directing after Ghost Ship.
Well, actually, the only cool death scenes I can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, so you might, right, are just chopping people in half.
He likes completely dissecting people.
The problem both the movies have is that the best death scenes are at the very beginning. The first noble death is with the lawyer in 13 Ghosts, where the house changes for the first time. The first ghost gets released and he gets sliced in half. That's the best kill in the entire movie. And from there, it's pretty weak.
Yeah.
It's like he thinks up an idea for a film, goes, I'm going to slice someone in half, then goes, fuck the rest. That'll do.
I've realized as well that, like, while I suppose the ghosts are doing a lot of the murders by, like, moving people into different places, all of the deaths in this film are just the house killing people. It's not the ghosts. The ghosts are just like yelling boo at the right moment and then they die, with the notable exception of Matthew Lillard, who gets split in half by a big ghost.
Again, just his spine is just absolutely disintegrated, isn't it? Like,
incredible.
I do feel like Matthew Lillard overacting is the best thing about this. Well, apart from maybe the death scene, the lawyer's death, Matthew Lillard overacting.
You can always rely on them to be like coming hot. The
biggest reason that immediately this film is better than the 1960s version is because it has Matthew Lillard in it. Like, I'm very aware
absolutely
that he would have been like minus 40 at the time of the original version, but I don't give a shit. Like, every film would be a massive improvement with Matthew Lillard. Like, just throw him in there. Like,
the ghost didn't actually do much in the first one either. In the original, I think the chef had a temper tantrum in the kitchen, hid a knife at the wall, but that's as much as the ghost did.
Yeah, the ghosts in the original were just fucking around.
Pretty
like,
chill.
Yeah.
I think the family let live with them at the end.
I quite liked that in this one there were like they've got all of the obviously the 13 ghosts. He said it, but
the movie.
But I quite like the fact that they're all like. They've all got different personalities, and some of the ghosts just don't seem to want to do anything. Like the bloody gut lord is just sort of standing around, like,
why are you interrupting me? I'm supposed to be taking my mother on a walk.
He's living his best fucking life. He's just getting he's just getting spoon fed. Like, that would be me as a ghost. If I was a ghost in this house, I would just be. You're right. Like,
ghostly treat boy.
I was saying to Hannah at one point. Well, yeah, like, this is the thing. One of them's having a bath, one of them's getting her nails done. They're just going on a fucking shopping. One's on Amazon. Just, but yeah. But what does kind of separate this film from the 60s version, especially, I think, is a lot of the personality in the ghosts and the fact that more time was clearly spent on the set design, the costume design, the makeup design, which is pretty exceptional throughout, and the gore effects. Everything visually works. Whereas I think a lot of the actual elements, like the film itself, the plot makes no fucking goddamn sense. So the basic plot is they're trying to open they built this machine called the Ocularis Infernum, which again, just the name of my next death.
It's a gravity
the name
drive.
of my next death metal album, just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, the point is
see the future.
To see the future, which. Okay,
and they do it to open the portal to hell.
No,
it was created.
See, I thought it was to open the portal to hell as well.
By hell, the devil. And it's powered by spirits.
Yeah, they even said designed by the devil, powered by the dead, which again, just the most metal thing you'll ever.
So you're going to be able to see the future, and the future's going to be you're all going to get obliterated because you've opened a portal to hell. You fucking idiots.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out how it works. And
So would the ghost just permanently, forever, and always stand around this thing, and it would just let him
Santos
pop into
Dominus.
the future every now and then?
I don't know. Maybe once you kill the 13th ghost, which you didn't get,
the 13th ghost is a fail-safe, so that's.
No, I thought that was a lie to trick the dad into doing it, you dickhead.
Oh yeah, shit.
You've watched this twice now, Liam.
I know. I just don't pay attention.
The ghosts keep tricking him.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. The plot, the narrative, is on par with your average Scooby-Doo episode. Like it's no.
From the ghosts actually get free to go torment the world.
I do like, yeah, they're just like, right, you guys go. It's like the scene at the end of Jurassic. Has anyone seen the newest Jurassic Park film where they just release all the dinosaurs? And they're just like, right, that's fine.
This will have no consequences.
Yep.
Ghosts have rights too.
Ghosts have, yeah, they just start the ghost. Yep, fucking. Oh, but let me. Shut up.
Yeah, what was up with like Ghost Peter in that movie? Peter. Like, there's the lady who at first is like a ghost rights activist, and then she just immediately betrays them. I guess because they're dead, and ghost rights are really stupid.
But I do love how, like, you're right, the distinct personality of each of the ghosts really lends itself. Like, you kind of want to learn more about them. I almost feel like the film doesn't give you enough, and especially like
I mean, Tom specifically looked them up.
Well, I was going to say you were saying on the Blu-ray they go a bit more into depth. Is there like a director's, or is it like a booklet or something that we get, or is it?
So they've got all of the text is on the Wikipedia page under the category of the ghosts. And it's got just like a very brief bio of what each of them are. They're pretty sort of
standard.
They're not. Yeah. I thought, just to hark on what you were saying there, Liam, like I thought the movie was going to spend more time with the ghosts. Like when they do that scene with the lady in the bath,
which
I thought that it was almost like quite sympathetically shot. Man. Like she's sort of going, "I'm sorry," and then it's almost like she's like waiting for her to go away. I didn't find her like too menacing in that. Besides the fact,
you have the little kid with the arrow through his head as well. Like,
he's just hanging out.
He's just chilling, man. He's just fucking.
The torso is literally just sitting there. Like I don't know what.
Can you call that sitting if you haven't got an arse at that point? Are you just like?
It's a bit hard to convey expression with just like pecs, though, isn't it? Like, how do you do that?
Weren't they all
Terry
chanting
Crews
at the end? weren't all the ghosts chanting in Latin at the end? What was the torso doing? Just clapping.
Flexing as hard as he could.
He was just doing Morse code, just dotting on the floor, just knocking. But yeah, again, like we get to probably the best ghost in the film is the jackal.
Oh, easily
the best ghost, which is the kind of was almost like the poster child for the film, the one with its
cage head,
the cage, cage and head. And one of my also all-time favorite scenes, aside from the lawyer getting split in two, is when he's just decimating Shannon. Is it Shannon Elizabeth, the actress?
I mean, you know what it is.
Where he's just going to town on Shannon Elizabeth, and he's slashing at her, and he just gratuitously rips her bra open, and you get that scene where you have like,
backstory is brutal.
Whoa. Which one? The jackal.
The jackal. Yeah.
So, born to a prostitute in 1887, Ryan Kuhn. Is that how you say that?
Ryan.
It's a four-letter word, Hannah.
Ryan Kuhn.
Anyway, he developed a sick appetite for women, attacking and raping strays and prostitutes in the night. He voluntarily went to an institute for treatment to cure his problem, but the medical practices made him much worse, causing him to go completely insane after years of solitary confinement, having his head locked in a cage after breaking out of his straitjacket and developing a hatred of humanity. When the asylum burst into flames, he chose to stay behind and perish in the fire. His ghost carries his torn straitjacket with a torn cubic head cage. It is called a sign of hell's winter. He is one of the more aggressive and violent
you got
ghosts.
stuck on the word cold there.
So close to being perfect.
A lot of the actual scenes with the ghosts, you're right, they are just fucking with them. Like he could probably rip Shannon Elizabeth to shreds, but instead he wants to take her clothes off very gradually. We have this thing where you almost wonder what the tone of this film was intending to be, because you have all these really quick edits. And I was saying about halfway through, I feel like it's more of an action film rather than a horror film, and I wonder whether a lot of the negative reviews and the negative reception came from that, because there's not really a moment where it's tense or scary or.
Tell Anna.
Hannah was shitting herself the entire time, but.
I thought it was at some points. I thought it was a parody. Like I thought it was in the same sort of ballpark as like Scream. I mean, Matthew Lillard's character basically exists to just be the audience a lot of the time, where he's just like, and that whole scene where he's trying to just like explain the concept of ghosts to a man who won't believe him. I'm like, they've got to be joking with this. Like, I don't understand. He's just using every word but ghost.
Have you heard of apparitions? Wraiths?
Evidence? Fine, man, I'll break it down for you. Fucking ghosts, man!
Maybe he was stoned at the time.
Maybe.
He definitely was.
You'd have to be, I feel like, right?
He's Matthew Lillard, right? He's Shaggy. It's in his contract.
Jack, you were saying there's quite a few like direct references to like other horror films as well. Like you have the scene in the bathtub with The Shining.
Wasn't there as well? When the lawyer arrives, it looks like The Exorcist, like he's coming down the thing with
the slow walk
silhouette. There's so much needless slow-mo in this film, like a crazy amount.
Yeah, when she jumps on the bed and the audio isn't slowed down. Oh no, but the video is. And I just remember thinking, that's a choice. That is a choice.
They did it a lot.
To give the audience that time to just reset their senses for the next sort of like onslaught.
Yeah, because it is the entire movie is an assault on the senses. It's one of those like super quick cut, intense music. You don't get a second to let your eyes focus on one thing.
Every ghost gives off sparks when it hits or touches anything.
Yeah, I do love how everything sparks.
I love the fact that they've got ghosts and they're using them in basically the same way that they'd use like an orc or something from Lord of the Rings. Like, these ghosts aren't spooky. They just sort of blunder around and attack everything.
Zero subtlety is the key, I think. And that's I think it's a lot of films in this era and this kind of genre as well. From the beginning, you have this kind of really cool set where I think they could have played with a lot more tension and they could have had these long lingering scenes, and especially in this like creepy glass house, and yet they go immediately for the gusto, which I kind of appreciate a little bit, because it's just a roller coaster from the beginning. It doesn't let you get bored. Like, there's not a moment where in the film you're like, right, this is slowing down, I'm starting to get a bit dreary. There isn't a moment where you even have a chance to catch your breath, and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
I also don't feel like they make movies like this anymore. It's such a product of its time. It has that reminder of like going into a Blockbuster video. For any of our listeners who are under the age of, I don't know, like 20, Blockbuster video was a thing where you used to be able to go and actually pick up a video. It was like Netflix, but in real life. And it just felt like checking out a movie. Like, you would just see the cover, and you're right, like Tom, that poster, that like
Hannibal Lecter-esque.
Yeah, you would see it. And you're like, this is the one. This will do. This is going to a cheap Friday. We'll get a takeaway. We'll have maybe a bottle of wine, whatever it is, and have a silly Friday night.
Such a lucky dip when you look back on it in hindsight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, before I watch anything these days, I'll check on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes to see if it's worth my time. And then you'll make me watch it anyway, even when it isn't.
There's almost like a level of earnestness there as well, though, I think, with that. Like,
I feel like if you picked this one up, right, you'd look at the front cover. Actually, I don't know what anyone would do. You look at the front cover because it's batshit as it is. But I think you'd be happy when you watched it. I mean, it was just insane. If you go for that cover, the cover looks insane. The movie's insane. You get what you got. I think
you're just not going to be bored. And I do feel like even the actors, I don't feel like anyone on the set had a bad time. Everyone's kind of, you're right, dialing it up to 11.
Yeah, man.
Matthew Lillard is having a blast. The whole way
he just
through.
rubs his glasses when he's a ghost at the end.
I was wondering
Still
this.
can't see without them.
So good.
Well, like, there was the ghost with the IV bag as well. Like, does she still need the IV bag? Is that providing her ghostly sustenance? Like, what's going on there? Tony Shalhoub, Shannon Elizabeth, fucking F. Murray Abraham as the notorious adventurer Cyrus. Yeah, he's playing it at 11. And again, I think
Cyrus
he kind of exudes that almost like Vincent Price-esque energy.
Brilliant in the car junkyard, just stood there as like the evil maniac, laughing at
this
the end,
ghost ain't
like
getting
the
me.
lightning behind him. Like
The real standouts are the set designs, the practical effects, everything, and the acting. Like,
that's the same with a lot of these movies that we go through. They put a lot of time into the sets. Look at Avatar.
Yeah,
the sets were really nice. Everything else around it's pretty meh.
oh shit, we need a story too.
Oh shit, yeah, man.
I feel bad for the production designers, because you know that they'll want to put stuff like this on their like CV and be like, look, I made all the sets for 13 Ghosts, and people will be like, what? I've literally never, that's not a real movie. This poster doesn't even look like a movie poster. It looks like 1,000 others.
But I do think, is this worth reevaluating? Is this worth sitting down and thinking, right, this is an entertaining romp. It's definitely nothing good. It's nothing you could ever really have the argument and say this is particularly well made, but it is enjoyable. Like, I don't know how you guys felt with regards to kind of rewatchability and just enjoyment levels, but I think this is an enjoyable ride from beginning to end.
I managed to rewatch it, but I think the renaissance that we're in with horror movies at the moment is going to top any film from around the 90s.
I think if you were around a meet and someone said, right, I'm going to put 13 Ghosts on because no one else has seen it, I'd be like, yeah, I'll watch it again. That's class. Like, it was...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You like beers in, you have a bit of a laugh, you watch it. I wouldn't watch it, like, I don't know, Saturday night by myself. I know what I'm going to watch.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't know at this point, because I have a sort of unique brain sickness where I actually enjoy terrible... Like, I seem to enjoy bad movies more than good ones now. It feels like... It's like brain rot. Like, it's hard to just enjoy good films. But... I really enjoyed 13 Ghosts, even though it's one of, like you say, it is one of those like chuck it on after you've had a couple of drinks, watch it with a few mates. You're gonna have a good time. You probably won't be bored. Nah. The movie does treat you like an idiot. Like, it's just constantly reminding you of the plot,
exposition,
which is helpful if you are an idiot like me as well, because then I actually know what's going on most of the time. So
I said we're still unsure about what the machines were and what everything did. So
hey, they were there to look evil and for people to fall into. I think that's.
I do like it. I do think watching it 16% is a bit unfair.
Yeah, man.
But I think 5 out of 10 on IMDb is about.
That's more accurate.
I think that's pretty much what it is.
Perfectly enjoyable piece of trash.
It's better than it is. 5 is rounded up to 10 if you're going to do a one-digit number. You know, 5 doesn't get rounded down to 0. So I think.
So essentially, you're saying it's a 10 out of 10 film.
No, don't quote me on that.
I want that soundbite of Jack saying it's 10 out of 10 film. I mean, you're right. It's something you put on in the background of a Halloween party. It's something that is perfectly. It's so dumb that you can't really. It's equal parts dumb as it is fun. And you're right. Like sometimes you kind of don't want to sit down, and as much as I appreciate directors like Ari Aster and Adam Wingard and Jordan Peele, the ones who are making the more kind of the nuanced, the intellectual,
the good horror.
Sometimes you want a piece of shit. The good horror. Sometimes you just want to shut your brain off and just watch a piece of garbage. You're absolutely right. It's zero energy viewing is what I would probably call it.
But it's more of a dumb action movie than it is a chill horror movie.
It's a slightly more adult Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
I do like how they eventually defeat the ghosts. It's just the babysitter just fucking around with the spell sound system.
Right, so if we're going to talk about like the sort of bizarre, like odd current of racism, the fact that they added like DJ scratches over her doing that, I was just like, what the?
I thought she was about to break it down, like she started hip hop dancing. I'll challenge you 13 ghosts to a dance-off. I do love the fact that Arthur just kind of yeets himself into the middle of this machine somehow, like just clears it, like he's an Olympic fucking long jumper. Like that was his past life.
100% sure. I was 1,000% sure that it was going to be he'd jump and get shredded, and then it would go to Matthew Lillard and him be like, ha ha, now I've succeeded in my plan. Like, I was so ready for that. And then when it ended with a happy ending, it was like a gut punch. I wanted to see him get Cyrus in that, like, big blender.
Sorry, family, you get to stay together.
Yeah. That final scene, though, that's the scene. So the scene, I text you as it was gone, the scene where they were all walking away from the house. That was the 9/11 scene. So there's that, like, almost like uncomfortable air of like, oh.
Smoking house.
I remembered that when I was watching, and it seemed very dignified to have them all fade out on the day that 9/11 was happening. And the very last figure that you see of those ghosts is the guy who's pretending to be a gorilla and is like jumping around. I was just imagining him doing that and just being like, oh my God, America's under attack anyway. I'm a ghost!
It was a fitting tribute, I believe. Can you imagine they just flashed over like an in memoriam scene afterwards? Oh God. Let's do a little. Is there any particular scenes we want to talk about that we haven't mentioned yet? What's kind of sticking in people's minds? Obviously, we've discussed kind of the big ones, but is there anything that's really standing out still?
Well, the ghost hunter lady betraying them out of nowhere was so weird. She's at the very start helping a random guy like try and free the ghost right. He gets killed. She's trying to then help the family in the house, and then at the very end it's like, nah, I've been in love with Cyrus the entire time. And she starts like simping, like, Daddy, did I do okay, Daddy?
So weird. Daddy? So weird.
And it squishes there between the wall.
Yeah, my thing for that was the fact that it was never explained why legendary adventurer Cyrus Atticus, not Crispus Atticus.
He's a legendary adventurer. Treat him with respect.
Crispus Atticus. They never explained why Cyrus Atticus did slit his own throat, but is totally fine.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because he's just walking. He didn't even change clothes.
He didn't even stitch it up.
Dead though, because
no. They take
it. He is now. The ghost got him.
His big trick was that he was literally the old man Withers under the Scooby-Doo mask. It's just like, I was actually a man all along.
We're assuming that this takes place like at least a couple of months after that big grey junkyard scene. So he's been walking around. He's been walking around in the same clothes with the same fucking huge gash on his neck, entirely for dramatic effect. He's like, this is gonna get them, right?
I assume in between hand he did.
I presume so, yeah.
He didn't just think I'm good, like method acting.
He hides underground for 6 months.
This is gonna really freak them the fuck out.
I locked myself in the basement with 12 of the terrifying ghosts for 4 months until they get here. I'll be the right level of mania to really sell it.
His entire plan hinged on them not taking those glasses off.
Literally. But yeah, I love it. This is like my second time in this year seeing this film. That's the level of admiration I have, because you're right. It's almost the perfect dumb fun movie. It's almost the one that you can. I could safely show this to anyone in my friendship group and say, look, you're not going to think this is anything exceptional, but you are going to enjoy the fuck out of this whole thing. Like, I had no problem recommending it to you because it feels like it's Event Horizon without the blue balling.
It was better than Event Horizon. I will go on record and say I enjoyed this a lot more than Event Horizon because this didn't take itself very seriously. Like, at all.
No, not at all.
And it had its tongue firmly in its cheek. Event Horizon is just grim as hell. It is just miserable. Yeah. It's like this with none of the fun and none of the jokes. Yeah. But this was just brilliant. Like, the perfect mix of taking itself just a little too seriously, but still having its tongue in its cheek. A perfect film.
It's Scooby-Doo for adults. It's Scooby-Doo for people who want to see a bit of gore in their Scooby-Oo movie, I guess.
I could have done with some more.
Who want to see
him rip Old Man Withers his head off.
Taking the mask off, but then just fucking decapitating his dead.
I could have done with some more agency from the ghosts, some of them.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see, like, the big baby and the little mother, like, her chopping them up and the baby eating little chunks of people.
Yeah. They could have done something a little bit more.
There's a couple of them that just didn't get anything to do other than stand around. Have the little boy with the tomahawk actually cut someone with it.
Yeah, he's just like hanging out. He's just sitting there like doing mischief, like sitting on the ceiling going, ha, there he goes.
You're not coming past me. I'll chop your fucking head off.
But I think, I don't know about you guys, I'm kind of ready to talk about like final favorite scenes and then final thoughts. So let's just kind of quickly go around the room and say favorite scenes because it's the lawyer scene. It's the lawyer getting completely dissected. I can speak for every single person here. It's the lawyer scene.
That is.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm not going to fight you on that at all.
No, I think it's got to be a truck full of blood. You got to be shitting.
You got to be shitting me.
Because it was just the most shaggy delivery of it was the shaggiest shaggy thing I've ever shaggied.
Either that or when noted adventurer Cyrus Criticus gets thrown in the blender. I think that was really good to see.
Oh, it was pretty good.
I mean, when actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Hannah?
The lawyer, the scene where the lawyer actually tells them that they've got the house, and it's like the little video where he goes, "Hey, still not gone. Still here.
Maybe I'll see you again."
I want to see the behind the scenes scene of noted adventurer Cyrus making that will and testament. It was like, I'm going to add some After Effects in here. If I just like move it, even his background, even his wallpaper on his computer is like this demonic shit. Like he is so horny for demons, man.
He's laughing away to himself. Like, this is really going to confuse them when they say this.
They're going to be so psyched. Let's do a little quick round of final thoughts. We kind of have got our final thoughts out there, but I just kind of want to... It's almost like a time capsule moment, whereas you're right, I don't know if we need any more of these films. Like, we are in this kind of golden age of horror cinema at the minute, so I think the way we keep it... But it is nice to kind of look back and have a little bit of fun with just how trashy everything used to be. It's an absolute gem. It makes no goddamn sense, but it's never fucking boring, and that is a glowing recommendation from me.
And not being boring is something it managed to have over its predecessor.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very boring. Pretty uninspired. All the acting was pretty bad, bar the dad, who was sounding like a TV presenter. This was action. This was fun. This had Matthew Lillard in it, which I can't really ask for much more. I could do with longer on each ghost, or more the ghosts doing shit, but like inventive enough. You tried, you changed the story up, and you did something new.
Ryan's like, has Matthew Lillard in 10 out of 10?
Pretty much. Look at everything else.
It's a good heuristic.
Anything he's in is golden. I'm going to watch Twin Peaks now.
Yes.
I actually would like to watch Twin Peaks, so yeah, that's on the list. Who wants to go next? Just final thoughts around the room? Go on, Tom.
Oh, okay.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I liked it. Watch it drunk. It's really fun. It's like you say, it's such a product of its times. If you look at it in the context of like a rare delicacy of like, oh, this is a perfectly... I want to call it a 90s movie. I know it was 2001, but it fits in that 90s movie category for me. Like, it's got Matthew Lillard in it, for Christ's sake.
I'm thinking about the one... Sorry, I'm thinking about the ones that we've watched. So this was 2001.
This was 2001, yeah.
Catwoman was 2004.
Yeah.
Southland Tales was 2006.
Yes.
Was it?
Yes.
And then what was before that? I'm forgetting.
Last Airbender was like 2009, I think.
We'll watch something from not that
Rick and
decade.
Man was 2005.
We'll watch something that's not been from this decade next.
No, honestly, like I've been dying to. Like we pulled. I wanted desperately to do 13 Ghosts just because I've had just because of the similarities between this and Event Horizon, like just you like maniacally twiddling your fingers there like Mr. Burns or something.
90s, terrible schlocky 90s movies are my domain.
We are going to get out. We are going to get out of the 90s 2000s soon, I hope.
What's the next one that we're doing then?
I want to do Mac and Me. I'm desperate to. Tom, you're kind of freaking out over there, Tom.
I fucking love Mac and Me.
It's amazing, right?
It's so fucking funny.
We'll get you back.
Oh my god, please. I love it so much. The MST3K video
genius.
of that is fucking brilliant. Do you watch Mystery Science Theater at all, guys?
Yeah, man. I think I discovered them through riff tracks and just kind of went back and watched them all.
Fuck. No, that Mac and Me episode's the one that I recommend to people if they want to get into it. It's so fucking good. Oh my god.
Oh wow! So okay, so that's 4%.
It's the ET ripoff. It's basically an ET ripoff.
It's 4% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means mathematically speaking, 13 Ghosts is 4 times better than Mac and Me.
I would agree.
That maths checks out, yeah.
Hannah, do you want to give your final thoughts as well?
I think this is the treat you didn't know you needed. Like, genuinely, like, I think if you pop this on, you're going to have a mint 90 minutes, but get a little drunk, get a little merry, pop that on, mint night. Yeah. So, stellar recommendation from over here. But going back to Mac and Me, isn't that the one? Sorry.
Please do.
Isn't that the one that... And you're going to have to tell me the guy's name. Paul Rudd.
Yes.
Paul Rudd goes on. It's Conan O'Brien he goes on, right? Every time he's asked to show a clip from any of his movies, he just shows the clip of the kid falling off the fucking cliff in a wheelchair. Fucking genius.
This guy's been going for years. It's not even just once or twice. He consistently does it every time he has a new movie.
Because it's either that, right? I've got a few decisions to make as to. I've got a few decisions to make as to what we do next week. So it's either Mac and Me or it's the Roland Emmerich Godzilla, which it would be sticking.
That's a lot of fish.
We're going to do Mac and Me. Fuck it, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Well, I think that kind of covers everything. Thank you so much, Tom, for joining us on this episode.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's been really fun.
Do you want to give us a quick plug as to where we can find you?
Yes, you can catch me every other week with my on the off the grid compound that I live in.
You've got to use your ghost goggles first.
Yeah, me and my let me try that again.
Me and my friends. This is much better than letting Liam do it for you because he'll fuck it up. But there you go anyway.
Me and my friends Callum and Matt, we host a podcast called Warmtins Film Club. It's kind of like if everyone in Bad Taste Buds was like 90% stupider and had to go through the entire film point by point. You could listen to that there. We just the next episode, when this episode comes out, will have been Demon Wind, which literally took us 2 attempts to record. And if you like the insanity of 13 Ghosts, you will definitely like Demon Wind. It's so fucking bonkers. There you go. There's a little plug there. Nice thanks so much for having me, guys. It's been really fun.
Anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome to. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And
great. I'll see you for Mac and Me.
See you next week, man. You can find us at Bad Taste Buds Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and Bad Taste Buds Podcast on Facebook. Check out our stories because we will be having a new competition soon, where we'll be giving away some Godzilla treats because we are eventually going to be covering Godzilla. Just give us a follow. Keep listening to the episodes. Keep liking, subscribing, doing what you're doing, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.